Get ready for the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, it's time for the VooDoo Chef podcast, where we will discuss all things VooDoo from the VooDoo Studios located right here in beautiful Tampa, Florida. So to all my booties out there, if you're looking for nothing but a good time, this is the place to be. Call your friends, knock on the neighbor's door, and let them know it's time to party like a rock star for the next hour. Join me and my guests and learn to VooDoo like we do as we discuss our faves and the VooDoo that we use. I'll put our guests on the spot as we ask for their top 3, and make sure and listen as we discuss some of our favorite war stories from the kitchens we've worked in. Sit back, grab a tall glass of your favorite libation, and enjoy this episode of the VooDoo Chef podcast.
What's going on, Voodies? Man, we got a great podcast tonight. Big Eddie C, he's still checking in, but he's back and ready to rock and roll. While we're waiting on Big Eddie C to check in, let's talk about all things VooDoo and those things coming up. First and foremost, this past weekend was an amazing weekend. I had the great opportunity to attend the Florida High School Culinary Championships. And what that means is all these culinary schools from across the state get together and compete to determine who's the best. And, we've been hanging out with these guys from Strawberry Crest for the past minute, talking with them and hanging out with them. And lo and behold, they came in first place. So big shout out to our team over at Strawberry Crest. Great job. The culinary team came in first place. The hospitality management team came in second place, which put them number 1 in the state overall right here in Hillsborough County. Rockstars, big shout out to our boy Paul Bonanno, who is the culinary instructor out there. And what makes it even better, at that event, I get to recognize the winner of the VooDoo Chef High School Recipe Challenge. And for that, we give away a $10,000 scholarship. Big shout out to my girl, Erica Albritton, for creating just this amazing VooDoo-inspired crab cake, taking home that $10,000 prize. Next week, we're going to have both Erica and Paul Bonanno right here on the VooDoo Chef podcast, showing off all their creations and everything they put together to make the magic, to make put VooDoo on the map. I don't know what they did. They created some badass shit. Checking in right now, we got my brother from another mother, Big Eddie C. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, not enough.
Oh, you sound a little hoarse, man.
I'm okay. I think that's just allergies, because the weather changed abruptly and shit's starting to bloom, and my dogs are dragging in fucking pollen every time they go in and out. So,
fuck yeah.
So I'm okay. That's believe me, that shit's the least of my worries.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, we got a big week. Everybody checking in right now. You are in the right place. In just no time at all, we will have our good friend Reno, bass player from Weapons of Anew, checking in here, and we're going to be talking like all kinds of music stuff, find out where he came from, what inspired him. So you're in the right spot. If you're checking in, let us know where you're checking in from. Most importantly, what you're drinking. And we're going to have him in here in a minute. Big Eddie C, just a great week. You heard me catching everybody up on the High School Recipe Challenge. Next week, we're going to have Erica Albritton, winner of the High School Recipe Challenge, and $10,000. Of course, High School Recipe Challenge presented by Kaiser University, powered by United States Coast Guard, helping us make all that magic happen. We're going to have her and Chef Paul Bonanno. I said next week, but I was mistaken. I said next week. I was mistaken. Next week would be the 15th. And we all know what happens on March 15th.
Is it that time?
It is the VooDoo Chef Big Eddie C Drunken Spelling Bee. I hope you're all set, my friend. Oh, look at him. He's already getting cocky. He's not even drinking tonight, man. Oh,
tonight's just water.
Just water. Hey, I
Just
got to give a big shout out to my boys over at Starbucks. That's what I'm on tonight. I don't know what's going on. Taking a hiatus. The bottle's over there though, just in case. But Big Eddie C, we'll get to all the deets about it next week when we check in. But we've got some big contenders for you this year. You know, you didn't want to know who you were competing against. They're lining up, man. They're like, we're taking them down. So I hope you're ready. Everybody checking in. Just make sure you know next week, right here, VooDoo Chef Podcast. It's the VooDoo Chef Big Eddie C Drunken Spelling Bee, where Ed Carmack says he will kick anyone's ass in a spelling bee, even if he's drunk. And next week is the week we find out. I will tell you, last year, Big Eddie C, you lived up to the test and you took them down. I think you took down 5 competitors. I do know for a fact IFA is making a repeat, so IFA will be in the building next week, ladies and gentlemen. You know, Sam,
how's he doing, man?
What's that?
Is he okay? I saw some shit with tornadoes in his neck of the woods on the news this weekend.
He lives in the Midwest, man. It is what it is.
He just goes down into the basement and makes sure he's got some Doritos. No, he probably eats like cracklings or Funyuns and, you know, goes down into the basement with a fucking case of cheer wine and snacks. And just,
a case of Templeton Rye. That's what they drink.
Templeton
Rye. The alcohol of Al Capone.
Well, I'm glad he's okay.
We got Spider checking in. Spidey, what's up? Spider out there doing what he does. We appreciate you taking time to check in. And Kevin Mullaney already in, waiting for our boy, Mr. Stefan Cutrupi, Reno, the bass player of Weapons of Anew, who's going to be with us in a hot minute. Get all your questions ready, and he will answer them live here. Big Eddie C, right after the Drunken Spelling Bee, of course, we go right back to VooDoo Love. We will be jumping in, and we will be doing VooDoo Underground as we do. High school students from across Hillsborough County will be competing in a 2-on-2 competition, single elimination, lose and you're gone. And this is their Friday Night Lights. This puts them in the spotlight. You know, a lot of these culinarians, they're not on the football team. They're not cheerleaders. Culinary is what we do. And so we put together a nice competition to act as their Friday Night Lights, highlight them. They get to cook, they get to serve it to judges, and they get to be recognized. And we do it kind of, I know we're not allowed to say, I don't give a fuck, March Madness style, single elimination, lose and you're gone. And we go down to one winner and we crown them the VooDoo Underground champion. We've done burger, we've done tacos. This year, real easy, anything on a stick. So I can't wait to see what these young culinarians create and put on a stick and serve to this guy so that I can get my eat on while the judges go to pick a winner. So that's going to be a 3-week competition. You will be able to hopefully see that on YouTube. Keep tuned in. So other than that, Big Eddie C, I think we're rocking and rolling. I think I'm excited because, you know, it's always great when we get to talk music on the podcast. We're always talking food. And I know Reno's all about food. He's going to be out judging some of the VooDoo Underground events. So, you know, it's your chance to meet Reno. Come hang out at the VooDoo Underground, cheer on these students. And who knows, you might get the opportunity to meet Reno. I think Freddie's coming. It's going to be a great day. All right, man. He's here, man. I see him. He's sitting there hanging out. He's waving. He's got his arms up. Guys, welcome in Reno Cutrupi, bass player for Weapons of Anew. He is a real boy. What's going on, buddy?
I'm a real boy. What's up, guys?
Nice.
Dude, when you threw that line at me today, I was like, dude, that is awesome, man. That's a great line. I just absolutely love it. How you been, friend?
I'm good, buddy. I can't complain. You know, just living the dream. Living the fucking dream.
That's all we do, man. Everybody checking in. You got Mary Cutrupi checking in. You got Kevin Mullaney already here. Just wanted to hear everything you have to say. And I think it's going to be just absolutely awesome. You know, I want to just real quick, you know, I met you guys actually through Big Eddie C. Mutual friend, Big Eddie C, mutual friend. Long story short, here I am hanging out with rock stars of just enormous magnitude
I don't know where you're getting any of that from.
Top 25.
He says he's only drinking coffee.
I am. I'm
I
only
want to
drinking
check
coffee.
it. Hey, check his oil on that thing.
You know, I really do. One of my favorite drinks is a Starbucks venti latte with 3 raw sugars. I drink it halfway gone, much like it is right now, and then I refill it with Jack Daniels, and it's actually amazing. Yeah, we might have to head that route.
Look, I see you peeking. You're like, okay, it's over.
Yeah,
there.
we might just have to head that route. But you know, our paths crossed, and I got to meet you guys, and I think you know, we had met real briefly at a distillery. But then next thing I know, Big Eddie C and I are out at your rehearsals, and you guys just kill it. And, you know, it was just super, super cool to be in that environment. You guys are some of the coolest cats. No ego, no attitude, just nothing but pure talent and pure love and give back and joy, dude. You are truly a rock star, and I am excited to now call you friend.
Friend is better. Rockstar, I don't know about any of that shit. Maybe one day, but
maybe one day.
Just living the dream, dude. You know, it's awesome to be able to get out there and reach people with music and just fucking do my thing. You know, since I'm a kid, it's like the dream that never dies. You know,
the dream that never died. Well, you know, so many of us as kids want to, you know, come up and be musicians. So for you to make your living as a musician, you know, that's something I look at and I just think that's super cool. You got your earliest influences. Now you correct me when I'm wrong, but you know,
fire away. Let it rip.
You know, I did some research on you, and it's funny. You said there's material out there for you to research.
I'm so curious what.
All right, so you stop me when I'm wrong. So,
go ahead.
When I first met Weapons, I decided I was going to, you know, you guys played a show for us to help us raise money for my foundation, and
that's
so
awesome.
you know,
well
kind of say thank you for that.
Oh, of course.
I created a sandwich for each one of you to kind of pay homage to each of you. So to do that, I researched you guys. And I found out that here we go. We got Dina Lunetta checking in. Inspired by his virtuoso, this is the write-up that I used for your sandwich. Inspired by his virtuoso style, mixing his passion for the classics of Hendrix, Vaughn, and Zeppelin, with his bass beginning of punk into metal and jazz. Yes, jazz. His styling is as much of a melting pot as the city he calls home, New York City. From finger to pick, it's 100 solid. And then I went into describing the sandwich that I created.
Did you write that? Who wrote that?
I wrote that.
That's good. That's pretty fucking good.
So now people will be.
Here we go. See, all right, let's go.
So now people, when they research you, they'll be researching my site and quoting me about you.
That's awesome.
So let's talk about the truth to that. You know, your earliest inspirations. Was I correct in my research? Hendrix and Vaughn and Zeppelin, those bluesy metal, just driving forces.
I mean, fuck, man. I was like a kid, and like my folks had records and shit. So like I can remember like when I was like fucking 7 or 8 years old, like they would be rocking like Dio, Last in Line on vinyl and shit, and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, that's right, Eddie. That's pretty fucking good.
A lot cooler than my fucking parents. Jesus.
Dude, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then yeah, I got turned on to like Hendrix and stuff, and I was like, what the fuck is happening here? How do you do that? How do you make that happen? I need to know how to make that happen.
Hey, I gotta pause because I have ADD and I'm getting yelled at from your fan club. Kevin Mullaney is saying that I butchered your last name.
No, you got it right the second time. It's fine. It's like you're gonna sneeze. Cutrupi.
Cutrupi.
There you go. See, let me tell you about. See, I'll help you understand Reno, right? I'll break it down for you. When I was playing,
got a lot of love in our chat room right now, my friend.
That's awesome. I don't have it going on my phone right now. when I was in my punk band in high school, they used to call me Reno. And one day, some asshole who, dude, I wasn't even friends with, shortened it to Reno, and it just fucking stuck. And a lot of people have a hard time pronouncing my first name. Obviously, my last name. No offense to you, you're not the only one. They can't understand that it's Stefan with an F. They're like, "Oh, Steven," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. What sound does the letter F make?" And they're like, and I'm like, "Okay, now say my name." And they're like, "Steven," and I'm like, "No, no, that's not it." But thanks for playing, and I just tell everybody my name is Reno. It's easier. It's honestly easier, and I don't have to correct people, and I've been doing it like my whole life, and it's just like a pain in the ass, honestly. So. Yeah, fucking Reno. But if I know you for real, you can know my government. Other than that, don't call me by my government. You know what I mean?
Well, you got a lot of people checking in, and man, I haven't got. Yeah, it's my uncle. It's my uncle Stefan.
See, you just fucked it up right now.
Wait. Stefen.
No, wrong.
Stefan.
That's how somebody typed it.
Well, they fucked it up too.
Well, it's obvious. It's your niece or nephew. It's Taxi Chips. Toxic chips. Yeah, I can't read, Ed. You got to help me out.
That's because you made it 16 fucking minutes before getting into that chat.
He hasn't taken a sip yet. It's fine. Put your glasses on, Peepaw. We and Eddie, we like to be able to see.
I love you no matter what they call you. That's what Zena's telling us. All right, so let's go back to the music. So your folks were jamming out, and that's really cool. My old man took me to see the Carpenters. Your old man's playing. I know that was pretty badass.
Dude, I bet you that was probably really fucking awesome. How old were you?
I think I was about 8.
Do you remember it?
I do.
Yeah, dude, that's like bitching. Like, I wouldn't be mad to go see the Carpenters.
No, man, because if you read anything about them back in the day, Karen Carpenter was a shit hot drummer. There was a lot.
Yeah, dude, that's a fact.
There was a lot of bands that held her in high regard, and I think she was asked to join a couple of big names, but declined. And I think she might have played on a few pretty well-known releases. You wouldn't have thought it by looking at her, but she was tasty. She was a damn good drummer.
No, I do remember it. David Brenner, the comedian, opened up, and it was in Las Vegas.
Oh my god!
It was super cool, but it wasn't rock and roll, and it didn't lead me to sit in that chair having a top 25 hit. So tell us how it all got started after that.
I'll tell you what ruined my life. Wayne's World came out, right? And the white strat in Wayne's World. And I went to my parents and I'm like, I want to be fucking Jimi Hendrix. I want a white Stratocaster. I want a white Stratocaster. I want a white Stratocaster. Like for a year, for like a whole year up until my birthday. I'm like, I want a fucking.
How old were you at that time?
I was like probably 12 or something like that. And my dad, like, I wouldn't say played the bass, but he had a bass and he would fuck with it from time to time when I was growing up. And one day I walked into my grandma's house and there was his bass and an amp, a little 10-inch Gorilla, like old school fucking pawn shop amplifier.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, you're playing? You're going to play again? That's cool. And he's like, no, we can't afford to buy you a Stratocaster. So here's my bass. And honestly, I was kind of mad, dude. I was like, what the fuck is this? How am I going to be Jimi Hendrix with this? That's bullshit, man. Like, what the fuck, And it was sick. It was like a 1967 Gibson EB3 bass. It was like an SG style body.
Right.
Dude, it was like fucking killer. It was like.
I bet you wish you had it today.
Well, yeah, I definitely do. But unfortunately, it had to go to the way of the Apache because it stopped working. And as a 19-year-old, I didn't know how to fix 3 basses at one time, nor could I afford it. So, sacrifices had to be made. And I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, what do I do with this? Like, I wasn't listening to the bass in the songs. So I that wasn't even like my focus, you know what I mean? So I'm like, what the hell do I do with this? And I ended up staying with my aunt and uncle for the summer, and my cousin had a bass. And they're like, yeah, bring your bass, you know, and go stay with them for the summer and have a good time. And I'm like, yeah, dude. So like, Dad gave me this, like, what the hell do I do with this? And he's like, I got you, dude. I got you. And like everyone in my family, vinyl. My mom, my aunts, my uncles, my dad, like fucking a million and zillion fucking records. Like I'm a sponge for fucking music, like growing up. And he's like, okay. So he puts on like Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon. And he puts on Money.
Oh,
and
man.
And he's like, okay, we're going to learn how to play this. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And he sat me down and he like glad-handed me. And he's like, made me learn like, dude, this is like day 2 of having a bass.
Right.
Use your pinky and do it like this. And like, he taught me Pink Floyd's Money. And then I'm like, okay, now what do I do? And he was such a dick. Like, I remember this vividly. He's like, take every finger and go up and down every string. Just rub your finger up and down on every string for like 20 times. Every string, every fingers. And I learned what calluses were. I didn't know what calluses were. And the next day, I'm like, dude, I can't move my hand. He's like, now we're going to play bass for like 8 hours today. And we did that all summer. And I came home knowing how to play like parts of songs and stuff like that. And then I got a call one day to go join up, you know, like the big band in my high school. It was like a pretty big deal, like when we were like 14, and I was off and running.
And was that the punk band? Is that when we started getting into punk?
That was, yeah. My mom was a big. She got me into all that stuff. All that stuff. I'm a lifelong card-carrying member of the Ramones family. Like, I got a great Ramones story if we have time. Like,
we have time. I want to hear it because
100%.
I was showing my daughter your tattoo today, and I said he's got a great story behind it, and she's like, tell me. I'm like, yeah, I might have been.
It's a long story. So, it's fucked up. I grew in this little like hood city in Westchester County called Mount Vernon, New York, and my mom worked at an electronics factory when I was a kid. When I was a teenager, she worked like down the block, and it turns out that the lady who was her boss was Joey Ramone's stepmother. She married his father. No, and they, turns out, lived down the block from me in Eastchester, New York, in Lake Isle Estates. So she had been telling me like, yeah, Nancy, I go to Nancy's and I see Noel, and you know, Noel's son is Joey Ramone. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You know, what are you talking about? And me and the guitarist in my punk band, Fran, like diehard Ramones guys, like fucking diehard. I'd count every song in like Dee Dee, like diehard, like Ramones, dude. And I got an autograph one year, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then I got a T-shirt one year, and it was like Joey's T-shirt, and I'm like, this isn't Joey's T-shirt. And then one day, like I'm on summer vacation, dude. I'm probably like, I don't know, 15 or 16, and my telephone rings. I'm home, you know, probably fucking drinking 40s and fucking sneaking joints and stuff like that, watching fucking MTV when they still had music. Remember that? That was cool. That was cool, right? And this guy, I pick up the phone. Hello. Hey, how you doing? And I'm like, yeah, who's this? And he's like, I heard you and me got a lot in common. And I'm like, yeah? Who the fuck is this? And he's like, it's Joey Ramone. And I'm like, yeah, right. And I hung up the phone. I hung up the fucking phone. 2 minutes go by. My mom calls me from work. She's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. I'm fucking hanging out. Like, just fucking doing nothing. She's like, someone's going to call the house for you in a little bit. She's like, pick up the phone. And I'm like, you know, that's funny. A guy just called the house and said he was Joey Ramone. And I'm like, and she's like, so what'd you do? And I'm like, I told him, no, you're not. And I hung up on him. And she's like, really, asshole? And I'm like, what do you mean? what are you saying? What are you saying to me right now? Like, it wasn't fucking registering. And she's like, asshole, hang up the phone with me. He's going to call you back. And I'm like, no, he's not. Sure as shit, I hang up the phone. 20 seconds later, hello? Hey, why'd you hang up on me? I'm like, dude, who the fuck is this? Like, I thought it was one of the guys in my band. I'm like, yo, stop fucking around, dude. And they're like, he's like, no, dude, it's Joey Ramone. And I'm like, no way. He's like, I hear we have a lot in common. And I'm like, what are you even saying? So, like, you know, my dad left when I was young, and he like had kind of the same kind of issues growing up as I did. And like, we started talking, and he's like, I'm throwing a show down at Coney Island High. He's like, I want you and your band to come down. He's like, I heard your tape. It's really good. He's like, I'll get you in over there. And I'm like, get out of here. He's like, give me the names of you and your friends. You'll be on the guest list. Come down and hang out. So me and my friends, we go to the city, and they don't believe me. They're like, dude, this is not for real. So we go in, we get, and our names are on the list, and we go in, and he's like, I'll meet you down there. And we get there like the opening show. This is Coney Island High back on like 1997 on St. Mark's Place, like a pretty well-known like punk rock club down there.
Oh, wow. Out in the village. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the show started at like 6 o'clock. It was like fucking middle of summer. And we're there all day. 8 o'clock, no Joey. 9 o'clock, no Joey. 10 o'clock, no Joey. 11 o'clock, no Joey. And they're like, dude, he's not coming. Let's get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, no, dude, he's coming, man. He's coming. And they're like, yo, you're bullshit. I'm like, he said he was coming. Half an hour goes by, and in comes walking Joey fucking Ramone. 7 foot fucking tall, and like the parting of the Red fucking Sea, dude. The whole place opens up, and they're mobbing him. And they're like, yo, let's, you know, what do we do? And I'm like, I'm going to go up to him. And then he's like getting mobbed, dude. Mobbed by people. And I walk up to the bar, and I tap him on the shoulder, and he looks down like I'm fucking 5'2", dude. You know what I mean? He's 7'11". Like, I'm looking up to him like fucking holy shit. And he leans down, and he's like, I heard I'm supposed to meet you here. And I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, dude, I don't like all these people, man. He's like, he was very shy, very like timid dude. And he's like, let's get the fuck out of here. So he takes us downstairs to the green room, and now we're fucking hanging out with Joey Ramone. And we walk down the corridors and through the pissy hallway and the staircase. And he knocks on the door of the green room, and who opens the door? Dee Dee. And I'm standing right behind Joey. So like Joey walks in, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, dude.
Wow.
And that's what I say. I still say wow to this day. Like, people don't even believe me. They're like, yeah, that's bullshit. I'm like, no, my fucking paperwork is legit on that shit, dude. And we hung out all night, and like people are asking him to take pictures, and like, you know, people that were VIP and stuff. And he's like, we're just shooting the shit or whatever. And he leans over and he's like, listen, I don't really like people taking my picture like this. He's like, can you come and take the pictures with me? So somewhere in like fucking Argentina or something, there's a picture, because these people were foreign, you know. Shout out to Argentina, whoever has that photo. If you were at Coney Island High in circa 96, NYC, like, I know it's there. There's a picture of me and Joey and like these 2 random fucking people on staff at Coney Island High, like hanging out, like chilling.
Dude, that's baller, man.
Dude,
That's awesome.
Like mind-blowing shit, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I still don't believe it to this day.
Oh
So, like,
man,
I'm an honorary member. Like, my paperwork is good. Like, you can go to New York City right now and ask, like, Reno Ramone, like, this fucking guy, right? This fucking guy right here.
Dude, I'm mad jelly, man.
So you knew a lot of like the New York like punk characters at that time in the bands. Like you were familiar with them.
I was kind of young. Like, I was just coming up then, and like Rancid had just broke. Like, Out Came the Wolves just came out. Like, yeah, we would go to all the hardcore shows and stuff like that. Like, I've picked up plenty of quarters in my day and done all that happy shit, you know what I mean? And like, I was big like into like punk and ska and stuff. So like, we go to like Wetlands, to like the ska, like matinees and shit, and like fuck, I get my skank on all day long. I had creepers and stuff, like I'm fucking mohawk for years.
Nice.
Like, yeah, dude, dyeing my hair. My hair is black. I looked like a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Red and purple. The only thing that dyed was my mother's bathroom sink. She used to get so pissed every time. She's like, "Fucking really? You can't even see it. Your head's red." I'm like, "Oh, it's red. Looks red to me."
There was one of the OG punk bands from New York City called the Dictators.
Oh yeah, I know the Dictators.
I got to meet Handsome Dick Manitoba years later when he had his own band, Manitoba's Wild Kingdom. They played here in Tampa, and there wasn't even 50 people in the place. So afterwards, he came out, and I had the cassette, and I said, "Could you sign the inside of it, sir?" And he looked at me and said, "Sir, fucking dad," with that Brooklyn accent. I mean, the guy, he lived upstairs from his parents' pizza place, probably still does. I was just like, boom, this guy is a true New York character, man.
Yeah, it was good times back in those days. The city ain't the same anymore, unfortunately,
No.
It ain't the same. I lived down there from like 14 to like 25, like inside out. Every club, I knew every booking agent. I would walk around with a book bag and hand out my tapes. Fucking get in here, get in there. Fucking these guys hated me. I'd call these clubs like once a week to get us a show. Like, and they'd be like, "Really, dude, again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, did you listen to the fucking tape?"
You talk about your persistence, and we've got Zena Klein in the chat room here, and she says, "I have to go, but before I do, I have to tell you how proud I am of you every day for never giving up on your dream." And that's super cool. And if you're just checking in, we're talking to the bass player from Weapons of Anew. And before it gets too far into this podcast, and we forget, first and foremost, on March 24th, come out and hang out with me as I stand out in that audience and check out Weapons at the
Come and hang out with me.
Well, you're going to be on stage. I'm going to be fangirling out in the audience.
Oh, my goodness.
And absolutely, I'm sure you guys are all going to be available after the show to hang out and talk to everybody. And and that's March 24th at the Brass Mug. Do you know what time that starts?
I do not.
We'll call it 6 o'clock. That way nobody misses it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's call it 4:35.
4:35
outside. I'll be there.
And so you spend your youth, New York City, 14 to 25, running all around punk bands. When do we finally make the transition into the bass player we are today and the style of playing that you have today? When does that finally come to fruition and we move into I don't want to say non-punk bands, but more of the style of music you're playing today?
Whoa, that's a long trip, buddy. That's a long trip.
Well, take us down that road.
That band broke up at the end of high school. The guitarist moved back to Argentina. His dad was a diplomat. And when he graduated college, he was like 2 years older than me. He went back over there. And I started discovering like what was out there for bass. Like I had always in my teens, like I wasn't like punk 100,000,000,000%. Like, I listened to shit. I was, always listening to shit. But I got into like Primus. I got into, I started getting into jazz. My dad was a big jazz guy, so he started showing me a bass player called Stanley Clark. We're gonna take a trip down Bass Road, folks.
And we are. And if you're out there in the listening area, make sure that you're starting to size up your top 3 bass players of all time, and we will be coming to that a bit later in the podcast here.
And then I don't know. I was probably like, I'm still in high school, 16, 17, something like that. And my dad got me. There's a bass player out there, folks. If you don't know, Jaco Pastorius. Okay. He not only got me the CD, but he bought me the book by Bill Milkowski. It was like Jaco's whole life story.
Wow.
And I still have it to this day. And he's like, I want you to read this because it's important that you don't make the same mistakes he did. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And I bought the record, and it fucking changed my life. I was like, what the fuck is happening on that instrument? Like, how is this man doing this stuff? And then
A lot of people said that when they heard Jocko, man.
Yeah, dude. Yo, like, it was like game changing. Like, fucking, Donna Lee, like, are you kidding? Portrait of Tracy, like, are you fucking kidding? Like, a bass can do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. How do you do that? And the drummer in the punk band, he was a really great player, and we just started kind of getting into like prog and like Dream Theater and fucking all kinds of shit like that, and listening to jazz dudes and Dennis Chambers. I'd say I learned a lot of my bass playing by watching drummers, because my best friend was a drummer growing up. Shout out to Joe Pidio if you're watching, Joe. Shout out to Joe Pidio. And we just watched like the Buddy Rich tribute concerts, like for hours on end, and like Liquid Drum Theater. I've seen Liquid Drum Theater more times than fucking Mike Portnoy has, dude. Like, I swear to you. I swear to you, I've seen it more times than that. And like Schofield videos and like all these heavies, dude. And I would just sit there and fucking from probably like 18 to like 24, like I would sit in a room with him and smoke pot and smoke cigarettes and just play my bass for like 20 hours a day. Like, I'm talking, I had a bass specifically that I would put on when I left my house and play it walking to his house. Wow. Play bass all day, smoking 4-foot bong hits, and then walk home at 2 a.m, up fucking, Tuckahoe Road, playing the bass in the middle of the night, like walking home, past the police sitting behind Eastchester High School, playing the bass. Play the bass. And we had like a fucking instrumental fusion band for a while, and we like played the city a fucking zillion times here, there. I got to open for Ike Willis and Project Object, the Zappa tribute band.
Oh wow.
George Clinton I played with at the Wetlands. I became a really good friends with the booking agent at the Wetlands. His name was Jake Zufnarowski. And like back in the days of payphones, I worked at Tower Records. So I would call Jake from the payphone in the lobby, and I'd be like, hey, what's going on this week? And he's like, well, I have this, and this. And he's like, oh, by the way, do you want to play Thursday night with so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. And he would book us, and we would just like fucking hang out and get fucking smashed out and fucking like play music for 6 hours. Like, it was like the time of my life, dude. The time, like the some of the best fucking nights of my life, doing that shit.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing.
It's epic.
And you still get to live that dream, and that's what's awesome. I mean, I'm counting down the days till I can come see you guys jam again, because I just had so much fun watching you guys. And a fun fact, you mentioned Dream Theater. I have opened up for Dream Theater. Just going to put that out there. Who knew, right?
Who knew?
You might have been at that show. Not really.
It's possible.
Not really.
You like King's X?
Ed might have been at that show.
It's possible.
I might have. I saw him a couple times in the area.
Oh man. So now we're with Weapons. And you're no longer up in that cold part of the country. You're now down here in the beautiful sunshine.
Thank the sweet Lord, baby Jesus. Oh. It's great. I love it.
Talk to us about where you guys are at and what's going on with Weapons and how that's kicking.
Oh, it's kicking great, dude. We're getting ready to put out the new record. We're getting ready to put out some singles. We're getting ready to launch some new merch. The new record's called Art of War. We put out Sick Boy about a year and a half ago. We did. All right, now here we go. I hit 18 on Billboard, which I guess makes me a rock star.
It does, man. That's pretty badass.
It was pretty cool. Like, it's really very surreal. Like, like to think about like all the time that has gone by, and like, how much work like individually and collectively like has gone into, this whole thing, and how hard like Freddie pushes and fucking does shit. Like, he's the brawn and the fucking brains, dude. Like, shout to Freddie. I love you. You know, and just like how hard everybody works to like, you know, just make everything fucking go, dude. Like it's exciting. You know what I mean? Like I don't think about it in terms of that because I'm so close to it. And like, you know, it's just kind of become like a regular thing. Like it doesn't like register in my mind a lot of the time. Like it's weird. You would think like, you know, like so I've met some rock stars and like sometimes they're like, you know, and sometimes they're like normal fucking dudes, you know what I mean? And I just like to be like a normal dude, like, because, you know, my thought process is like, if you sit in your room for fucking 10 years straight and practice like a fucking idiot, like I did, you could do this too, you know what I mean? Like, and it's really exciting. Like, I'm excited for the new songs. I'm excited, you know, for bass players to hear my bass. I'm excited for shredders to hear Freddie's ripping guitar solos. I'm excited for them to hear, you know, the new singer. I'm excited for them to fucking hear everything. I was like, yo, it's pretty sick, dude. And like, I'm so close to it, it doesn't register sometimes, but I'll take like some time away. And then like, I'll put on our tunes and I'm like, oh yeah, that's us. Oh yeah, that's fucking pretty all right. Yeah. You know?
It's funny. You're like talking about your own band and you're almost fangirling out to every piece of your band. And that's really
I love those
cool.
guys. I love those guys. It's a fucking family, dude. You know what I mean? Like we're a fucking family. We're like, you know, do or die, ride or die, three musketeers, all for one and one for all, dude. You know, and it's got to be that way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of politics and bullshit that goes on in music, and you know, it's important for the core, you know, the fucking humans that create it, to be like just tight and, you know, close knit and be there for each other. You know what I mean? Because it's crazy. You know what I mean?
You know, as I watch you guys, I can see that you guys are tight like that, and it is important that you stay that cohesive unit. And you know, I've seen some of the changes, and I've seen, you know, you mentioned the new singer. I didn't know your previous singer, but you know, Richie comes in, and I just think he is so awesome and such a great fit for you guys.
Can we all three just give a chef's kiss for Richie real quick? Can we?
Well, we gotta do this.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And you know, your new drummer just so powerful.
Linnea is sick, dude. She's a fucking champion.
Just fucking power on the drums.
Wrecking machine, dude. And that's important, especially for me, you know, like, because I play with the drummer, but I also play with the guitars. I do a little bit of both, but it's important, you know, that we're like fucking right there. It's great, you know, and it helps me to relax up there too. Like, I'm not stressed out or worried. Like,
you know, people can talk about the relationship between a bass player and a drummer, but I don't think you really understand it until you've been in that role, and you kind of know, and you can feel the groove, and you make that connection. It's not something that you can just talk about. It's something real, and you have to feel that. And so, you know, that's so cool that you say that that's clicking like that. That's just absolutely awesome.
It's like our own little world. You know what I mean? Like, I like to look at my bass playing now as like, get in where you fit in. You know what I mean? Like, I've done the beat the shit out of the bass. I've done the play the bass as fast as you can. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, I wouldn't say mature because you know me, and obviously I'm not a mature person. You know, I'm perpetually fucking 15, but that
I know, dude. You text me and you're like, "I'm looking forward to our date tonight," and I'm like,
"Bro, look, I shaved and shit for you, me? Bro. I powdered my face, bro."
I noticed. I did notice.
Ready.
I want you to know.
If this isn't the face of a guy with a freshly powdered gooch, I don't know who is. I don't know. I'm feeling real light. I'm feeling real lightweight. I'm feeling good. What the fuck are we talking about?
How you've calmed down as a bass player and come into your own.
No, I wouldn't say calm. I'm still very aggressive, but I think it's important now for what I do as a musician and by fulfilling my role in the band. Like, you know, when Freddie and I were doing Havocate, I wanted to play the guitar parts. So I was going to be the baddest motherfucker and be like, yeah, I can play exactly what you can play. Like, fuck all that other shit. I'm the baddest motherfucker on this thing. You know what I mean? And on the first record, I kind of did that a little bit, but then I had to kind of get into the mindset of like, okay, let's kind of be harmonious. Let's kind of play with the drums. Let's tie everything together. Let's be the glue. Let's be the glue. You know what I mean? So there's times where I'm like, okay, I'm with the drums. And then, but I'm like, oh, there's a spot here where I could be with the guitars and support the melody too. Or I could do a little thing and be with the vocals too. And it's like, oh yeah, like,
I really dig when the bass ties in with the vocals and starts kind of following that rhythm and that groove. I really dig that when that happens.
You got to sneak it in there. I call it, you got to be tasty. You know what I mean? It's a taste. I try to take a tasteful approach. But when it's time to play like fucking let's riff, like, yeah, dude, I'm going to beat the fucking ass off of that thing. Like,
Well, Steve, your boy Steve Much says you're the major rager on the 5-string motherfucker.
Thank you, sir, Steven.
Observation.
I try. You know what I mean? There's lots of guys that are better than me. Like, I'm not the fucking best, but in here, I'm the baddest motherfucker that ever did. And like, I'll fucking fuck you. I don't fucking care how fast you can play. Fuck you. You know what I mean?
Kevin wants me to let you know that John James is looking down on you. R.I.P. Close boys.
Yeah. I know he is. We just lost him in August. It was a sad case. Yeah, you know, life happens, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it does, and you know.
So I got a base question.
Okay, Eddie.
My memory has been fucked because I haven't seen you guys in a while, so I've had health issues out the yin yang. Right now is a kidney stone. 2 months ago it was a back surgery. But are you a 4 or a 5-string guy primarily?
I was a 4 on the first record, okay. But the weird thing is, I would like alternate. Like I was with ESP then, and now I'm with the fine folks at Ibanez. Plug for Ibanez. Shout out to Tyler Booth. Shout out to Hoshina USA and Ibanez Guitars. Beautiful instruments. No, really, they're fucking awesome. ESP had hooked me up with a couple of 4s, and then we wrote we wrote a song called Awake on Collision, and the 4s just couldn't do it, and I'm like, fuck, I need a 5-string. And they had like this like B stock like Surveyor. It had like a quilt top, so I called the rep and I'm like, dude, you know, I see it's on like the B, like the shit list, but like it looks awesome. Like, what's wrong with it? He's like, there's a scratch by the input jack, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care. How much is it? And he's like, oh, for you, dude, like $200. I'm like, for real? He's like, yeah. I'm like, send it. And that bass affectionately became known as the Funk Bazooka. I would play Funk Bazooka all the time, and I would just play the 5-string. So I slowly started to migrate to the 5s. I had played 5 and 4 both growing up, and then when we started kind of recording this record, I was like, I'm just gonna go with 5s. You know, our tuning dropped, and I'm like, I'm just gonna stick with 5s. Like, there's no need. I don't want to switch instruments back and forth and shit like that, like fucking 3 times. Like, I'm just gonna stay with 5s. But I do have 2 5s, because we do some songs off Collision, and 2 of the songs on Art of War have the tuning from Collision. So I use my multi-scale bass for that. And then for everything else, I use my blue quilt top, as Kevin has affectionately named it, Blue Justice. I use Blue Justice primarily if I feel like tuning it down or back to the other song. I'll play it, but I switch it out. Plus, I like to play 2 different basses from the company that endorses me on stage. I think it's a nice thing to do, and they're fucking awesome.
Cool. Okay. The 5 thing kind of bypassed me. I'm like old school. The guitars have 6 and the basses have 4, and I picked up the 5 at Erik's, and I was just like, you know, like, what the fuck do I do with it?
Think of it. I think of it like this. This is like a very simple way to view it. Reverse spinal tap technology, right? Okay. The 5-string is 1 lower as opposed to an amplifier that goes to 11 and is one louder.
I can remember that. That makes sense.
Sometimes you just gotta break shit down, dude. That's all. You just gotta break it down.
But this one goes one lower.
But this one goes one lower.
This one goes all the way to 1.1. Yeah.
That's right. -4. I go to -4.
Fuck.
Dude, that's
awesome.
classic, man.
That's awesome.
All right, Reno, let's I'm very interested to know, and you've been rattling off some fucking just legends. And of course, you're gonna make me look like the simpleton that I always do. But that's okay. You know, it's all about what you like and what you listen to and where we're at. But I want to get into your top 3 bass players, and we do a top 3. We try to do a top 3 every week. This time it just happens to be going to tell us a little more insight into your profession and what you do. And we say all the time, it's the top 3 now. And, you know, you could be listening in something else and be into something heavy, and it could change at any time. So, you know, nobody's going to hold you to anything
Oh, they will. The bass community, they'll hold you.
Oh, yeah, they will. They're going to be like, but
I
remember what you
this
said.
guy? And I'll be like, yeah, I know that guy too. I know that guy's great. Sorry, I only had 3.
Yeah, but don't worry, because when you hear mine, you're just going to be like, oh, they're going to like eat you alive, you stupid piece of shit. It's all good, man.
If you got Chris Squire on your list, it's fine. And then we're good. You covered it. You covered it.
All right, so our top 3 bass players, here's how it'll go. We'll go 3, 2, 1, and we go in order. You're going to give your number 3, and then we'll each give our number 3s, and then we'll move on to number 2, then we'll move on to number 1. Top 3 bass players in your mind, number 3.
All right, I thought about this before.
Do you want to throw out some honorable mentions? Ed always does.
I could do honorable mentions for you. Got another hour? Because I could tell you like the records and the songs. And like,
no, let's just go 3, 2,
1. All right, 3 right now. 3. I'm gonna. I tried to break this down into like categories, so I covered a broad spectrum of bass work for each player, and it should encompass my style. It makes sense. All right. And there's not a punk rock guy on there, surprisingly. So we'll throw DD in for honorable mention because I have to.
Respect.
Hashtag RAMONES month. All right. Number 3, we're going to go Les Claypool because he has to be in there because Les taught me there are no rules. You can do whatever you want to express yourself on your instrument. And that was a very valuable lesson for me to learn because it doesn't matter. Like, if it makes sense to you and it feels good to you, fuck everybody else. Let's get busy. You know what I mean?
Hey, Big Eddie C, I don't know about you, but I'm having flashbacks to Mike Costanza right now, you know? Les Claypool and Mike Costanza have common beliefs in the way we rock and roll.
Yeah.
You do you, and that's all that matters.
All right, who's next?
Cool, man. Big Eddie C, you got a number 3?
I got a number 3, but I got to tell you, I got to take some guys out of it because to me, there's guys that are on a Mount Rushmore, and you can't really include them anymore because, well, none of them to me that are on the Mount Rushmore are active. Okay, 2 aren't even alive. Right?
That's okay.
You know, the Mount Rushmore, if you got 4 people up there to me, there's of course Jocko, there's Geezer Butler,
Okay.
there's Geddy Lee, and there's Lemmy. Okay, those are the gods. You know, those are the gods. Now, as far as an honorable mention of living guys still producing shit, I'm going to put this one up there real quick. See if you can see them. This, if it's up there, I don't know if it's in there or not. That one, that's Pete Wallace of Marillion. Absolute fucking monster bass player.
It went away, Ed.
I see nothing, Eddie.
Okay, hang on. This fucking
Do
shooter.
whatever you just did because I got it and I put it up and then it went away.
Okay.
All right.
Petra Wallace of Marillion. Absolute monster on the bass. Can play all over the neck. Some were funky, some were progressive. I've seen them now 3 times, and I was looking for other shit and couldn't believe how much I kept going back to him, anchoring down the low end and doing these creative things in between and along with everyone else. And I was just like, I can't fucking believe I slept on this guy. And he's just he's got to be he's like maybe up to my shoulders, just tiny guy. That bass is bigger than him. I don't even know what the fuck that thing is. I don't know if it's a Washburn or what with that W.
That's a Warwick bass, sir.
Okay, thank you. I stand corrected. But just a monster. That's my honorable mention. Number 3, Steve Harris.
Ooh,
Steve Harris, Iron
good.
Maiden.
Yeah,
Steve Harris was the guy. I mean, I don't even bother trying to do that shit anymore because my fingers can't do the gallop. I just can't fucking do it. I got little 12-year-old girl hands. I just don't. The best I can do as far as playing with my fingers is I can play with the 3 fingers if it's slow, because I end up going in between these 2 or these 2, depending on what the song calls for. But him, it's just, and I've seen him live 2-3 times now, and he's just a lead player, a bass player masquerading as a lead player, or whatever you want to call it.
Valid, very valid.
And he's a all finger, right?
Yeah, he doesn't play with a pick ever.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Which I think I was compensated for it, because one of the knocks, like Gene Simmons rags on guys that play with their fingers. He's like, get that jazz shit out of rock music. You can't hear it. Of course, Gene being Gene, you take it with half a grain of salt. But Steve Harris destroys that stereotype. It's like, sorry, Gene, Iron Maiden, as far as bass, he pretty much tears everyone a new ass without even fucking trying.
I mean, can we just, if we're talking fingers in rock and roll, can we just bring up Billy fucking Sheen, dude? Because
honorable mention on my list, and only because he came into my life
one of the nicest guys I've ever met, dude. I've got to hang out with him a couple times. Fucking amazing human being, and destroys the bass.
Yeah,
I got tuned into him late, and that's why he's just an honorable mention. But just amazing player, and you're right, super nice guy.
Yeah, awesome.
Super nice guy. My number 3 is Stu Ham. I got to see Stu at a clinic at Thoroughbred Music, and just to be able to watch him and see what he was able to pull off. And as cheesy as it is, when he does the Peanuts theme all on the bass,
dude, it's awesome. So awesome. It's awesome every time.
Super fucking badass. And it was the first time I, being a 80s hair fan, where you basically play the open A for half your lifetime in one song. To see somebody like that just blew my mind, and I thought it was absolutely incredible. And that's why he's my number 3. I don't even know who he plays with, if he does.
Plays with Stu Ham. He doesn't need. He could plays with everybody, and himself.
I'll let that one go. Number 2 there.
We all do sometimes.
Big Eddie C, let's go to you for number 2.
You already stole it. I'm gonna say Billy Sheehan, because you talk about getting into him late. I got into him way early. Reno's gonna remember this name. This guy I met when I was in high school. He was a year or 2 older than me. I was a sophomore. He was a senior. And this was a guy that got me into all kinds of indie metal. That's where I first heard Billy Sheehan with Talus.
That's a long time ago.
Yep. Yeah. Band from upstate Buffalo. I heard their live album. I think it was a live album, Sink Your Teeth Into That. And I was just like, Jesus. I mean, he was doing that shit that he did years later with David Lee Roth. But this was 5 years before that.
Yeah, dude.
And, if anybody was around at that time in Buffalo, now I'm pretty sure our friend Z saw them. He remembers Billy Sheehan. Yeah. He's like, dude, I saw him in a fucking bowling alley by the railroad tracks.
Yeah,
So
but Z's like 200 years old, dude.
yeah, I mean, so am I in many ways, physically. But I got to see him when he played both those tours, the first 2 tours with David Lee Roth, and he and Steve Vai were just like, all right, motherfucker, bring it. I'm going to both of them. I think they were both out to like leave Eddie Van Halen in the dust as far as the speed. And, damn if they didn't do it though. I mean, Dave was just like, I'm going to go out and get the fucking baddest bass player and baddest guitar player there is. And he did.
That band was tremendous. Bissonette on drums.
Bissonette on drums, keeping up with it all.
Ridiculousness.
Yeah, it was fucked up. It was sick.
Insanity. I wish I would have seen those shows. I did see him. I think with Mr. Big.
Oh, that's good, dude. That's a good show.
Yeah. Give us your number 2 there, Reno. Who you got?
All right. I thought about number 2 long and hard.
A lot of people do.
I like to rock back and forth too sometimes. What? You don't put your knees.
I'm just loving the entertainment.
No high knees? What do? You put your feet on the phone. It's the new way. Get in line, bro.
Everybody's doing it.
Everybody's doing it.
All the cool kids are doing it.
They weren't in line. That's some real truthful shit. I'm gonna go Doug Pinnick from King's X.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
And that's I kind of model what I do now, like it's kind of in that vein. And I was lucky enough to open for him, dude, I don't know, in like 2001, or like right before or after 9/11 at the Knitting Factory. And he was like, they were fucking tremendous. I mean, dude, his tone, fucking gigantic. Like shake a building gigantic, dude. Like a fucking Mack truck.
Yeah.
Fucking gigantic, dude. And his voice.
Oh, the soul, man.
Dude. Like cigarettes, Goldilocks, like, dude.
Yeah.
Is that a 3-piece?
Yeah.
He's
It's just him, Ty, and Jerry Gaskill, dude. And it sounds like it could be a million guys. Fucking, oh my God.
My first song that turned me on to them was It's Love, and I can't get enough of that. Just a great song. But then you start listening and digging deeper, they're just all hot, man.
Dude, like even like the C-sides, it's like, this song is fucking amazing. You know what I mean? I didn't know that this was even them. Like, yeah, dude, fucking Doug all day long. Like,
damn. Yeah.
Amazing.
Fucking good call, man. Good call. All right, my number 2, I was going to go with the bass player from Saigon Kick, whose name I don't even know.
Dude, you can't do that. You got to at least know their name.
It was a joke. I love Saigon Kick, but, that's all Jason Bieler anyway. Will Lee from the World's Most Dangerous Band. Just an absolute stud of a bass player, can play everybody, anybody, and he is just a rock star.
Hold the phone.
Without being a rock star.
Hold the phone.
Wow. Yeah.
You impressed me.
Stop the car.
You impressed me, Will Lee. Okay.
Just a beast.
Dude.
Just a beast. And if you don't know who it is.
My hat is off to you.
Yeah, but wait, you're going to take it all back when we get to number 1, just so you know.
I know. I know. I honestly have a feeling that I know what's coming, but I'm not going to spoil it.
Everybody knows, so it doesn't matter. I'll do number 1 first, all right?
Okay.
Reno, who's my number 1?
Gene fucking Simmons, dude.
Gene Simmons from Kiss.
I knew it.
I think he is underrated. He puts a lot of groove underneath those lines. I think he is so underrated because of the gimmick that he plays and all the roles that he plays. But if you look at who he listens to, his influences, and you actually listen to his parts, I think he's got some solid groove in there. And he's an integral part in a lot of their songs.
I've soloed out some stuff. Thanks to YouTube, it's really great. Like, you can listen to anybody's stuff isolated now.
Right.
There's some good stuff in there. I'm not gonna shit on your number one, but I thought about it all day when you were like, oh, think about your top three. I'm like, fucking Gene Simmons, dude, all day.
And then earlier I'm showing you my bases, and you're like, look, there's the hatchet base. Right there, man.
I'm surprised it's not in your bed. I'm surprised it's not in your bed.
And you talk about, your Joey Ramone moment and him calling you on the phone. I've actually spoke to Gene Simmons on the phone, and it's just super cool to get to have those experiences that you can talk about and share. And the fact that, I have no connection. My mom didn't work with anybody that knew somebody. My sister walked up to him and goes, my brother's a huge fan. Will you talk to him on the phone? And he took the time to talk to me on the phone. And it was just super cool. Just a nice man, truly loves his fans. And I think as a bass player, I really do think he's underrated. He lays some solid groove to that. And if you ask me, I would bet Paul Stanley wrote the lines anyways. But moving on to our number ones. Big Eddie C, who's your number one?
Before I mention it, I got to throw out another name who I'm pissed at myself for not remembering.
The bass player for Pretty Boy Floyd?
Where's he at? I think I saw him at the Culvers making my concrete last week.
With me and Greg Baker?
Yep. The one that ended up on half on my back seat. Jesus Christ. I thought about it because all of a sudden I realized I hadn't been to Hard Rock in a while, mostly by choice. But one thing that I always walked by, and I always would stop and look at the fucking thing, and I'm half tempted to run out of there every time, is Lee Sklar's bass.
Oh, man, dude. I've been watching a lot of him lately.
Can you educate me?
Dude, I don't even know where to start because he's played on so many fucking things that I can't even start.
Dude, anything you ever heard in your entire life, Leland Sklar, dude. 100%.
Right.
Like,
studio musician.
Yeah.
The long
that big fucking beard.
Yeah.
Got the beard down to here, man.
So coming up, the Will Lee bass player and his bass player, I saved those issues because they were so deep and so great and had such an impact. Rockstar players, man.
Dude.
I thought you were going to say Pete Entwistle because his bass is up in the Hard Rock too.
Oh, Entwistle was another one who's on he's on the Mount fucking Olympus, the Mount Rushmore bass players, because those guys are either defunct or deceased.
I wish you could have found the bass strap that fit because it was always up here. Like it was like Paul Rudd slapping a bass, man. I don't know.
No, dude, I used to play up high bow tie style. Like there's a lot to be said for the bow tie, dude.
Dude, I love that.
Efficiency for range of motion. Like you want to talk about zero fatigue and like perfect posture.
Yeah.
The fucking bow tie, dude.
I love that. The bow tie.
Gary Willis, right? Like a lot of guys, when you see him play the bow tie, they play it like this, right? What that's doing is it's fucking up the tendon and shit that goes in here.
Right.
So there's this jazz guy, his name is Gary Willis. You lay it straight and you put it, I'm going to show you my waistband, kind of like that. So you maintain that.
Right.
And if you won't ever, like you won't have fatigue or like repetitive motion injury or anything like that. So there's a lot to be said for wearing your bass like up higher, or you know what I mean? You won't get fucked up over the years because, these are important if you want to actually play.
What's the position called like the Ramones where they wear it down around their ankle socks?
A ball dragger. I call it ball dragger.
Ball dragger.
There were plenty of times for that. The problem is you can only fret like the first like couple frets or wrist really, you get fucked up with this your fretting hand.
Well, and then there's guys like the dude from Korn that play it perfectly vertical. How?
Well, it's because they got their straps so low they have to have it up like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like, hey, if it works for you, fantastic.
He probably doesn't struggle with any wrist issues. His playing it up here, it's more of an upright posture, and it's maintaining this, so it's probably actually better, I would think, for longevity purposes.
Hey, we got Kathy Vale checking in. She says, if you've never seen a soul on fire, you'll see it when Reno plays. It's Tampa.
Oh, that is very true.
A lot of fans checking in.
Self-hate, Eric. Self-hate, VooDoo. It all comes out.
I'll get my number one out of the way real quick.
Let's hear it, my man.
We already said him. Les Claypool. I've never ceased to be amazed by the shit that man has done with Primus ever. And having seen him live and watching his silliness fucking bouncing around on stage wearing shorts and flip-flops, just terrorizing that goddamn bass.
Goes back to Reno's comment. You do you.
Yeah. I watched him and the shit he was doing, disinspired me. I want to fucking quit. I don't look at guys like that and go, I want to play bass like that. I look at that and I go, why fucking bother?
Just hang it back up. I'm done.
Shifts over. Good evening, Sam. Night, Ralph.
Trade it in for a ukulele.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Sitting on the beach with my toes in the sand.
What's that mouth harp? It just
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Reno. I'm very interested to hear you have ranked as number one. I hope it's Dee Dee, but I'm afraid it's not.
It's not, dude. It's not. Eddie C already knows who it is, and it has to be Jocko, dude. It has to be Jocko.
I can see that, man.
And I'm like, dude, fucking Stanley's great. Like, dude, there's so many guys. Like, I could go on and on about bass players. You need 10 hours to book me on this fucking thing. We could talk about everybody.
We'll have you back.
Yeah.
But the game changed, dude. The entire world of the instrument changed.
Did
when
he's the Marco Pierre of the bass.
Like the whole game. Like it's like fucking before Christ and after Christ. Like that's how serious that shit is, dude.
Yeah.
And nobody saw it coming. And still to this day, like that is the model. And it's fucked up because a lot of I see like it's easy to get stuck on like I want to do that. I want to play just like that. Like bass is beyond that now also. You know what I mean? But like that's like the fucking when you're just like oh there it is, like looking at the moon in the sky, dude. Like there's only one. You know what I mean? And like I can listen to those records still to this day and be like, fuck. And there's plenty of dudes out there now, guys like you've never even heard of that I like follow on social media and like all these heavies now, like these young guys. The newer guys, and they fucking play that shit inside out, backwards, and fucking upside down. But like, it's not the same, dude. Like, take 5 minutes and go and listen to the Weather Report song called Havana.
Yeah.
It will fucking change your entire perspective on the bass as a whole, as what it is capable of doing. Like, and what a human being is capable of doing when they apply themselves to the science and the beauty that is like music, like the craft of it and the understanding of how harmony and rhythm and fucking all this shit come together and like skill and dexterity and like precision. Like, dude, it is like the epitome. Like that song, like I have that shit on vinyl, dude. Like,
oh my God.
I blast that shit. It fucking shakes the walls of my house. It is so fucking epic, dude. To put that fucking song on, the keyboards are mixed a little high. I'm not gonna lie, but dude,
as the bass player,
dude, like,
I can't wait.
Can we get a chef's kiss for that one?
Oh, for you, man, absolutely.
Outstanding. And there's so many tremendous guys. Like there's so, but like for me, game changer. Before Christ, after Christ.
And that's what the top three is about, man. And I'm glad we got to hear your top three bass players. And I hope everybody jumps out and checks out all the bass players we listen today because we got to support music, whatever genre, whatever type. And that's what this is all about, man. Hopefully opening up some eyes and opening up some new spectrums into insight of the music we listen to, the food we eat, whatever it may be. Most importantly, tells us a lot about you, my friend.
Just a regular guy, bro. Regular guy.
No, man, this is awesome. I love hanging out, and I wish we could be here all night, but I know your time's busy. We appreciate you taking time to come in, and if you have time, we've got one last segment we do. We used to do the top 5, but now we do the top 10. And the top 10 are just a series of questions that we ask our guests to gain a little more insight into the world of them. So do you have...
What happened to the research? You ran out of research? Now I got to answer questions? What's going on? What's on?
Absolutely, man. And these are tough questions.
All right.
And we do have to give the disclaimer. There's no right or wrong answer. However, some answers could get you banned from the VooDoo Chef podcast.
Not possible. It's not possible.
No, we have one member who is not allowed in. We banned one person, no longer allowed in the podcast because of 2 answers, and they were back to back. And there's no wrong answers except those 2 answers. They were definitely.
I hope I don't give those 2. Fuck. Eddie, hold up a card with the answers so I can see what they were. Eddie, write them down and hold up a card.
Text them to me quick.
Yeah.
Text them. All right, Reno, real easy. First question, what was your favorite television show coming up as a kid?
The A-Team.
I love it when a plan comes together.
That's awesome.
Who was your favorite character?
Man, that's tough. I really liked Face, but I have to say B.A. Baracus because he was afraid to fly, and they used to drug his milk to get him on fucking airplanes and helicopters.
My favorite was Murdoch because he would put on that crazy act just to get by, man. But
Okay.
Probably the most sane guy in the group and could make anything happen.
Yeah, that was good when I was a kid.
What's your favorite movie all time?
Oh, I really, it's funny. I am a student of film. I really appreciate
High School Musical?
The narrative in film and the way they can tell a story through the score in film as well as really good acting. So sidebar, Daniel Day-Lewis is one of my favorite actors. So I have to honestly tell you, there's a movie called, you should watch this, There Will Be Blood.
Blood.
It is the greatest film you'll ever watch in your entire life. Yeah, write it down.
That may be the greatest acting performance I've ever seen right there.
Ever in my life, dude. Ever in my life.
Daniel Plainview.
Oh my God.
Fucking greatest.
Fucking epic, dude.
I still sometimes finish dinner and go, I'm finished.
Dude, it'll change your view of the world. It'll change your view about being a man in society. Fucking for real, dude. It is heavy duty.
It's true.
I'm gonna turn that on. I mean, I might
know
even watch it
it's
tonight.
that deep, did you? I'm pretty deep, buddy. Pretty deep, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
when
fucking
I
awesome.
invited you out on the date tonight, I had no idea what I was getting into here,
Put
buddy.
on the I've got lotioned and shit too, dude.
Moisturize.
Yeah, you got to.
Popcorn or candy?
Candy, dude.
Here's one of those tough questions. Coke or Pepsi?
Coca-Cola, dude. What the fuck do you think this is? This isn't fucking communist.
It's not a Super Bowl halftime show.
Fucking America. Coca-fucking-Cola, dude.
I know the answer to the next question, so I'm gonna skip it and move on.
No, ask it anyway, because what if I change it?
Bourbon or beer?
None.
Coca-Cola.
Hot ass coffee, buddy. Hot coffee.
I love coffee, man. I drink that probably more than anything else.
I don't know if that's true, and Eddie could probably vouch for that.
I drink Jack Daniels on Tuesday nights. Other than that, it is coffee pretty much 24/7.
Yeah, me too. It's a problem.
And you drink it black, am I correct?
I do now, yes. I switched a couple years ago.
What were you before? Cream and sugar?
Oh, diabetes all day, baby. People would take my coffee order and they'd be like, "How do you want it?" I'm like, "Diabetes." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Whole milk," and then count to 10. And that's how I tell them to pour my sugar. And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, 1, 2, 3, count to 10.
I was not a coffee drinker as a kid. When I started working at a restaurant called The Castaway here in Tampa at 20 years old, a gentleman by the name of Bill Baker, he was training me. And I walk in and I'm like, "All right, man, what do we do first?" And he goes, "We get some fucking coffee, Big Daddy." He grabbed a 4-cup measuring cup. And on a 4-cup measuring cup, you have the 4 cups measured out, but you also have measurements at every quarter of a cup. So you have a quarter cup, a half cup, 3/4 cup, 1 cup. And he goes, "Let me show you how to make the coffee, Big Daddy." And Bill didn't drink, but he must have been stoned 24/7.
Okay.
He's like, "You're going to fill the sugar up to this first line." So the motherfucker put like a quarter of a cup of sugar in there.
A lot.
And then he goes, "Then you're going to take the cream." And he didn't grab half and half. He grabbed heavy cream.
Woo!
Put 3/4 of a cup in there.
Woo!
He's got
That's
1
hot.
full cup of nothing but fucking sugar and heavy cream. And then he goes, "And then we fill it up with coffee, Big Daddy." And from that moment on, that's how I drank my coffee.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
I switched to half and half later, but after I got COVID, it just doesn't taste right. I now drink my coffee black.
Yeah, I like it
I
better.
wish I
Every
could.
now and then on the weekends, I'll put a splash of whole milk, but very rarely. And I'm a big milk guy. So can we just go to milk real quick? Fucking drink fucking whole milk, folks. Okay, none of this. What the fuck? 1% of what? 1% of a fucking cow's titty. Get the fuck out of
1% of nothing. is what it is.
1%
Here's
of
the
4.
thing.
Just fucking drink 4%. You know.
Here's my lesson for the day. We're all going to the box anyway, okay? Drink fucking whole milk.
Yeah.
The more you know. Like, come on.
Little rainbow.
All right, here we go, Reno. To what temperature do you cook your steak? Or should I say, to what temperature does Freddie cook your steak for you?
He's a little more bloody than me. I don't listen. You're the guru when it comes to the food. So what would it be if I like a nice medium? What's that like?
That means you're still in the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Why? You had a well done guy?
We had some asshole say Pepsi and well done, and we're just like, dude, you're not
No.
allowed back.
No.
And he got all
Well done.
pissy and fucking, he's not allowed
No.
back.
Medium rare is a little too chewy for me. It's like the mouthfeel on it. It's just
Yep.
I can't. Medium.
I can live with that.
You
Chef's
still get
kiss.
all the flavor. You get a little more texture out of it. I get
Yeah.
it.
I'm going to jump in real quick and say the last time we went to Burns, we had a big gift card, so it was pretty much like get whatever the fuck you want. So I got the Wagyu steak, and I asked the waiter, I said, "Look, I normally order medium rare. Would that be appropriate?" He said, "Probably a little closer to medium on here because this thing is so marbled that you got to give it a little longer to get that shit to melt. It's still going to be beautiful. It's still going to look beautiful,
Yeah.
but medium rare, you're going to get a little bit more. So I can live with medium, especially on a good steak.
You gotta render all of that fat out, and the only way to do that is with time. And it's just the way it is. It's just how it is, man. If you don't render it out, it's chewy, it's tough, and then you end up having that bad mouthfeel. No bueno.
Yeah.
Who would say Pepsi, by the way? Who the fuck would say Pepsi? What the fuck kind of world do we live in? Pepsi.
I'm just saying, dude. I don't know.
Dude.
Somebody that eats a Taco Bell, not this guy. He eat a Taco Bell.
The only Pepsi that's acceptable is the one with real sugar that they used to call the throwback. That one's good. But to me, the only Coke that's acceptable is the Mexican Coke. You got to have the sugar.
Oh, you brought up gold star for Mexican Coke, dude.
Absolutely. That's bonus plan.
That's
The
best
Texas
one.
Dr. Pepper, same thing. It's made with sugar. And you can taste all that shit going on in there. The corn syrup drowns out the notes in regular Dr. Pepper.
The only time, just so we're all clear, the only time it's acceptable to drink Pepsi is 2 a.m. at Taco Bell because they don't sell Coke.
Nah, dude. I get Sierra.
You know, I respect that. Maybe I'll have
time.
Which just out of respect for Coke.
Sierra Mist.
If they had unsweet tea, I would get that, but they have it on.
Yeah.
But they have it on a machine, and it's fucking gross.
I'm glad that the exclusive flavors weren't around when I was in college, because I used to get, literally, I'm not fucking joking either, 10 tacos, 2 burritos, and 4 pintos and cheese. But I would have added a Baja Blast to that shit at 2:45 in the morning.
I'm not a big fan of the Baja Blast, dude.
Oh, not now, no. But when I was mid-20s, college, I did drink that shit.
It's Mountain Dew and Gatorade, man.
It's Mountain Dew Gatorade.
It's Mountain Dew and Blue Gatorade.
Blue Gatorade is better, man.
Oh.
It tastes like gas. There's gasoline in there, dude. That smells like there's chemical. I can feel myself getting cancer, and I probably smoked 15 cigarettes in an hour and a half. But if I drink Baja Blast, like I take a swallow, and I'm like, yeah, like cancer's coming. It's coming. Hot.
Give me a cigarette to help kill this shit.
Exactly. It counteracts all the negative effects.
Oh my God.
All right, Reno, what's your favorite cuss word?
Fuck.
What's your favorite song?
Oh, this is hard. That's a hard one. Man, dude, that's tough. My favorite song. Okay, I'll tell you. Oh,
Tina is a punk rocker.
No, dude, no, it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be that. It's not gonna be anything like that. Like that I could listen to like over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. More Than a Woman by the Bee Gees.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you want to know why? Because those motherfuckers meant that shit, dude.
Yeah, they did.
They could fucking sing their fucking asses off. So, come at me, internet.
That's right.
Not from me, man. You'll get no disagreement from me.
Yeah.
Shit.
All right, are we riding the Cyclone, or are we riding the Ferris Wheel of Death, whatever the fuck it's called out there on Coney Island?
I'm a pussy, dude. I don't ride roller coasters.
You're gonna ride that Ferris wheel shit?
I'm afraid of heights, dude. So if I have to, I'll ride the Ferris wheel.
Wowzers.
Yeah, 100%. I'll ride the fucking Ferris wheel like 6 times. Once I get I'm comfortable. Once I realize I'm not gonna die up there, I'll ride the Ferris wheel. But I ain't riding no roller coasters. Fuck you.
All right, man. Here's the big one, brother, and last question of the night. What's your death row meal?
Does it have to be made by the prison chef or no?
No, your choice. Your death row meal, whatever it is you're eating.
My mom's chicken cutlets.
Oh, wow.
What made them special?
It's
Aside
the
from mom's.
It's the best thing in the entire universe.
Wow.
It's the great. My mouth gets watery just thinking about it.
Wow. Damn.
Like, I love chicken cutlets, dude. But there's something that happens when my mom fries a chicken cutlet. I don't know what happens. Angels fucking fuck. And then they come on the cutlet. I don't know what happens. It's...
most people say sing, but they must be that damn good.
Elevated.
Bro, I'm from New York and I'm Italian.
So does mom make her own gravy?
You're not even ready, bro.
No, I'm
ready. I know you're the VooDoo. I know you're the bad man. I need the bad man jammer.
I want to be ready. I want to taste. I want to taste Sunday gravy.
I want to take you to New York and feed you pizza in Manhattan at like 10 different spots and blow your mind.
Oh, I'm down for that trip. You let me know.
Because in like the summertime though, not now. You don't want to go there now.
Well, when Weapons of Anew is playing at Madison Square Garden, and I get that personal invite, we're going to be all over that, and you can take me all over Manhattan. Everybody out there checking out the VooDoo Chef podcast, make sure you check out our boy Reno. You can find him on Facebook, Insta, Weapons of Anew, Instagram. I love this, the King of Reno Love, and make sure you throw them hearts, throw them those likes. My friend, nothing but love for coming in, hanging out with us tonight.
Awesome.
I can't wait till March 24th. I hope to see all the Voodies out there checking out Weapons at the Brass Mug. And big news. Everybody thinks this is the last taste of Reno. Big Eddie C, I'd like to introduce you to the official judge of the VooDoo Chef Big Eddie C Drunken Spelling Bee. Our main man, Reno, will be the judge, the official judge for the event next week. So everybody,
I'm excited.
It's going to be a blast, dude.
Eddie, I hear you. Eddie, I heard you smoke motherfuckers for real. Like, I'm excited.
Well,
I haven't drank in a while, so I've made it a goal to be try to be slurring by the time it starts.
Well, I'm going to let you know we're bringing in some heavy hitters, Big Eddie C.
That's good.
You kind of cleaned house last year, and we wrapped it up pretty early. So we have secured the official word list from Hillsborough County Public Schools English Department.
Really?
Really.
Awesome.
We do have our lead judge and only officiator in the crew here now. And we've lined up some heavy hitters next week. And I'm going to let you know, Big Eddie C, I kind of might have adapted the rules a little bit because you are so strong.
Okay.
You may have tandems working together against you.
Well, that's fine. They can work all they want. What we should be doing is charging these fuckers money, make a donation to the VooDoo Chef Foundation for the privilege of me spanking their ass.
Good. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
You know what? We will have the QR code up next week for anybody that wants to make a donation to the VooDoo Chef Foundation. Of course, that's always up. You can log on to the VooDoo Chef Facebook page. You can log on to the Foundation Facebook page. And if you don't know where those are, you can always hit the home base, VooDooChef.com. Reno, nothing but love. Make sure you share that with all the boys in the band. Can't wait to see you next week. See them on March 24th. And then ultimately, you and Freddie helping judge VooDoo Underground. Where
Dude, I'm so ready. I mean,
celebrate some students and raise some money for the VooDoo Chef Foundation. Till next time, homies, nothing